The drama between Amber Heard and Johnny Depp has had a lot of consequences for themselves, the people close to them, their careers, but also for the movies that they are a part of. Having a lead role involved in so serious issues is not something most companies want, and therefore both Amber Heard and Johnny Depp have lost multiple roles because of this. But this has also hurt the movies themselves, and the new upcoming Aquaman movie, The Trench, has most likely been cancelled because that Amber Heard couldn't be a part of it. Aquaman Spinoff, The Trench, cancelled because of Amber Heard. After the billion-dollar success of Aquaman, it's a given that Warner Bros. Is going to return into the waters with the popular DC character in the near future. While the steps are in place to make Aquaman 2, there are other ideas floating around in Warner Bros. Bay at the moment. Specifically, there are plans to make a spin-off called The Trench, which will focus on the nautical nuisances that threatened our leads during a memorable sequence in the original film. Producer James Wan is eager to make a genre-enthused spin-off, and one that might not be what you'd expect from a DCEU joint. While not all the details are known about this project yet, we have heard some interesting details about the teased forthcoming blockbuster. As first seen in Aquaman number 1, 2011, The Trench consists of the former citizens of Atlantis who found their city destroyed and submerged underwater. As several years go by, these underwater sea creatures dwell in the Marianas Trench. They have evolved into horrific carnivorous humanoids with an appearance that resembles anglerfish with legs and other human features. We got a peek of them in Aquaman, but in this spin-off, we'll glimpse into their origins, exploring the creepy story of how they turned into the terrifying creatures seen in this thrilling action sequence. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, a few months after Aquaman's billion-dollar box office surprise, producer Peter Safran revealed some illuminating details about his plans for The Trench. Specifically, he was hoping to make and release the movie before Aquaman 2, which is expected to hit theaters on December 16, 2022. Indeed, that's a pretty short window of time, but if he got his way, the Trench spin-off would take pickup after the events in the first Aquaman movie, but before we returned for the much anticipated sequel. Of course, that's certainly subject to change, most notably with the announced movie not scheduled to start production anytime soon, and especially with the expectedly very CG-heavy blockbuster currently without a release date. In any case, based on what's been publicized about the Trench spin-off so far, this is what the producers are aiming for with this movie. Details are still cloudy regarding what the Trench would be. Warner Bros. Is known for changing styles and tones with each subsequent new DC blockbuster, even within the connective tissue of the DCEU, and it can be hard to guess what the Trench might look like compared to the other movies we've got from the studio. Well, if we can take Peter Safran's word from his aforementioned THR interview, The Trench will follow suit not with what we've seen from the DCEU from this point, but what's been made within the extended Conjuring universe, which makes sense since both The Conjuring 1 and 2 and Aquaman come from director James Wan. Safran believes there's a lot of room to expand on what viewers saw, particularly in this stunning sequence. A new Aquaman behind-the-scenes photo shows Amber Heard with actors sporting practical trench suits while filming for the upcoming DC film. The Trench is an anticipated element of James Wan's Aquaman for fans of Jeff Johns' New 52 run. It has been teased the sequence will feature the director's signature horror aesthetic with the terrifying sea creatures created by Johns. Ahead of the film's release next month, a new behind-the-scenes photo surfaced on the DC Cinematic subreddit featuring Heard's Mara with actors wearing practical trench suits. Based on characters created by Paul Norris and Mort Weisinger, the script has been written by David Leslie Johnson, McGoldrick, and Will Bial, based on a story by Jeff Johns, Wan, and Bial. Peter Safran and Rob Cohen have produced the film with Deborah Snyder, Zack Snyder, John Berg, Johns, and Walter Hamada serving as executive producers. Directed by James Wan, Aquaman stars Jason Momoa as Arthur Curry, Amber Heard as Mara, Willem Dafoe as Vulko, Patrick Wilson as Orm or Ocean Master, Dolph Lundgren as Nereus, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as Black Manta, Nicole Kidman as Atlanta, Ludi Lin as Captain Merc, and Tamara Morrison as Tom Curry. Aquaman director James Wan and producer Peter Safran are developing a horror-tinged spin-off, The Trench, focusing on the creatures who tormented Aquaman and Mera during an arresting sequence in the $1.31 billion grossing film. Safran expects The Trench will open before Aquaman 2's December 16, 2022 release date. We always, even from the early concept art days, loved the idea of a Trench movie. Safran told The Hollywood Reporter on Tuesday at the opening of the Aquaman exhibit at Warner Bros. Studio Tour Hollywood. Then, when audiences embraced it in the movie itself the way they did, particularly that ant farm shot where the camera follows the trench following Arthur and Mera down into the deep, we just knew that we had something very special there and we knew what the movie should be. And consequently, I suspect that that's one that will come out significantly before Aquaman 2. Safran confirmed that Arthur and Mera won't appear in The Trench and noted that it will take place after the first Aquaman. The producer is a longtime collaborator with Wan and the head of DC Films Walter Hamada, specifically on the Conjuring universe, and that's influenced how they've tackled Aquaman and his world. The Conjuring franchise began in 2013 and quietly grew into a shared universe that now includes the Annabelle films and last year's The Nun. We've definitely taken a page from our Conjuring playbook, which is you've got the mothership, which is Aquaman, but there are so many great stories to tell within that universe of itself, the Atlantean universe, Safran explained. And the way that the three men work together has also informed the decision for a 4-year gap before Aquaman 2. Myself and James Wan always shared the same philosophy, which is you want to do it right, Safran said. You don't want to do it fast, you just want to do it right. The producer said Warner Bros. Did not pressure them to move faster on a sequel. DC's got a nice slate of movies that are coming out, he said, pointing to April's Shazam, which Safran is producing, 2020's Birds of Prey, and 2021's The Batman and The Suicide Squad, all of which will come out before Aquaman 2. Notably absent from that slate is a Justice League follow-up. As Aquaman is building its own sub-universe, DC as a whole has been focusing on individual heroes and squads of side characters over major team-ups. In January at the Sundance Film Festival, Wonder Woman 1984 filmmaker Patty Jenkins told THR that's the direction she'd prefer DC to pursue at the moment. I sort of hope that we don't do a Justice League movie for a little while because I'm excited to see all of their movies. I want to see Aquaman 2, I want to see Flash, she said. Safran agrees with Jenkins. I think that when you're making really strong standalone movies, there's really no need to bring them together, he said. You want to give these characters room to breathe and live and tell their stories. While Safran thinks it's great for them to ultimately team up, he calls back to his philosophy of patience. Wonder Woman has shown what a great standalone property that is, Safran said, and in Aquaman, we feel the same way. We think that there's a great sequel and beyond to tell. We introduced 7 Kingdoms of Atlantis, right? James Wan knows the architecture, the armory, the military, the look, the feel, the general vibe of each of these kingdoms, and I'm sure that there will be an opportunity to explore them in some way later on.